How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with the majestic host, the Savior. And today I've been huffing that Witcher alchemy, okay? And I am happy and excited to be talking about The Witcher 3 today. So recently I've been playing a lot of The Witcher 3 Next Gen Edition, and it's got me thinking about just the future of fantasy RPGs, okay? And when we will get the next big one, okay? Because we know The Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to be coming for a very long time, okay? And also, I think a lot of people have finally just lost faith in Bethesda. You know, it was 76 and Fallout 4, which made people quite unsure, and Starfield has either made people, you know, just completely neglect and turn their back on Bethesda, and I can't blame them. I don't think it's a bad game, but it's honestly not what I expected, and I'll talk about that in another video. So Bethesda now just doesn't have the same trust and hype and excitement, I believe, for the Elder Scrolls 6 that they were hoping for. So we don't really have many fantasy RPGs that we can really get into anymore, and I don't know when the next one will be. The Witcher 3 Next Gen, to me, has just been an absolute blast. I did play it back in the day, but I just did the story. I never did any of the DLCs, and just small changes has made this game so much better, okay? So much more immersive, and it's not just graphical fidelity. That is, of course, sometimes important depending on the art style. I don't think it's the most important thing. Gameplay first, then graphics, especially if the art style is strong. But you know, this does look absolutely beautiful now, the next gen Witcher, and just small tweaks like the UI changes, the camera perspective, it just makes this so much more immersive.
What was that?
Black blood.
What does black blood do?
Turns my blood into poison. If the beast feeds on me, it'll die immediately.
How are you not dead?
I'm a witcher.
What does that one do?
Kiss increases resistance to bleeding.
I think it's literally made your eyes bleed.
Full moon increases vitality.
Geralt?
What?
And it's really made me appreciate The Witcher 3. So today I just want to talk about why you should play The Witcher 3 in 2024. And yes, I do realize it's not officially 2024 yet. Okay, calm down in the comments. What am I going to title this? A Witcher 3 up-to-date 2023 review when literally the year's ending? No, okay, that's stupid. This is The Witcher 3 2024 review. Does it still hold up, and should you play it? So let's get into it. And before I do, quickly, do consider subscribing if you are new, which is pretty likely. Just go down below, hit the button. It takes only 2 seconds, simply 2 seconds of your time, but it means so much to me. I put so much work into all of my videos. I really care about this community, this channel, what we're building here. Be a wise one, subscribe, don't be left behind, don't be a dum-dum, and join this fantastic community. Do that YouTube stuff, because I'm a slave to the algorithm, yes. Like the video, and turn on the notification bell. And if you do want to support what I'm doing here, if you like my early reviews or you like my philosophical video essays, whatever it is, do consider joining as a member to get extra content, or check out my music on Spotify. You will like it if you like the music from Cyberpunk 2077, or just drop a small donation.
What about me? Don't I get any?
You just got exactly what you deserve.
Hey, this isn't funny.
So in this video, I will be talking about the next gen edition of The Witcher 3, how it compares to other recent RPG games like Cyberpunk 2.0, Starfield, and just where we are at the moment in the gaming industry when it comes to fantasy RPGs and what we're gonna get, if anything exciting is coming, stuff like that, and of course give you a review of the game. But everyone at this point has played The Witcher 3, and if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do jump in now, because the graphical modding scene and gameplay modding scene on the PC is also very fleshed out at this point. I feel that CD Projekt RED is almost coming the new Bethesda, okay? You know, a lot of people are really enjoying their games. They put so much detail and attention into their games, like with Cyberpunk, and the modding community is really transforming their games as well. So I honestly feel that CD Projekt RED are the future for RPGs as opposed to Bethesda, which, you know, everyone was hoping for because everyone was excited for Elder Scrolls. And the Elder Scrolls universe is very interesting, and I understand why so many people love it. I absolutely love it myself, but I just don't have that much faith in Bethesda like I used to. But The Witcher 3 is probably the only fantasy RPG that we will have for the next 2 or 3 years, which is pretty crazy to think, but that is just the case. But now, if you haven't played the DLC Blood and Wine and the other one, I highly recommend it because The Witcher 3 is so good at narrative storytelling. And this was back when RPGs, I'm talking like it's an old game, it's not that old, but this was back when an RPG was still an RPG, okay? Most video games nowadays claim to be RPGs when actually they are not, okay? They don't have any real choices, any consequences for your actions. The Witcher 3, even though the choices are rather simplistic, most of the quests, okay, that you do, any side quest, has actual choice and consequence, okay? Not like Bethesda games with Starfield, where the choices that you make don't actually matter and it's more the illusion of choice. No, things will actually happen. You can actually choose to be a good Geralt or a bad Geralt, which is very satisfying. Starfield didn't really give you the morality choice for some reason. They're just afraid of letting players be evil, which is very telling of their current philosophy and their ideology at Bethesda. But The Witcher 3 really lets you roleplay, okay? Now, you are still a character. You are Geralt of Rivia, so you cannot just create your own character and be whoever you want, and the voice lines reflect that, but you can still roleplay in what type of Geralt you want to be. And the writing, compared to any other game, even compared to Cyberpunk, I would just say is so much better in The Witcher 3. You know, the storytelling is interesting. The main story is not the most interesting thing, but the side quests, exploring and going off, that's what's so fun about The Witcher 3. And I couldn't connect to it as much as I have this time around, and I think a lot of people will have that experience with the next gen edition, because before it did suffer from that kind of Ubisoft design philosophy where you're constantly looking at a mini map and, you know, you're going from one place to the next, you're not organically discovering things. But now, or with mods, you can just explore the world without having to worry about menus or load screens or anything like that, and explore organically. And that is just so satisfying when you stumble upon an interesting quest or some interesting loot. That is where The Witcher 3 is at its best. And just the characters are interesting, the lore is interesting, it's deep, it's fleshed out. And if you play on a higher difficulty, which I highly recommend, okay, you will have a much better time, because the whole point of The Witcher is experiencing the life of a monster hunter, okay? And if you play on a lower difficulty, which I did originally, which now I regret because it's so much better on a higher difficulty, you actually engage with the mechanics, where most people ignored these mechanics on launch. But if you play with a modded Witcher, or you just play on a higher difficulty, you will engage in the actual Witcher 3 mechanics, where you actually have to learn about the creatures, learn about their weaknesses, craft potions, do alchemy, prepare your weapons, all of that stuff, and that makes the game so much more enjoyable. So I do think The Witcher 3 is worth it in 2024, because we just won't get any RPG out there like this, and because it's got a new updated version, it's going to, you know, appeal to a lot more people for a lot longer. The only small negatives I really have about The Witcher 3 is the fact that it's never that deep, okay? You know, the stories are interesting, don't get me wrong, the characters are interesting, you do get interesting side missions and stuff like that, side quests, but the kind of message of The Witcher isn't that strong, and I'm a sucker for that kind of philosophy type aspect, and I'm a sucker for philosophy in my video games. I know it's very hard to find, but games like Cyberpunk, for example, deals with transhumanism. The Witcher 3 isn't really trying to tell you anything, it's just trying to let you have a good time and create your own story. It's much more of a create your own story compared to something like Cyberpunk, which is surprising because you're playing as a designated character, and V is more of an open slate. But still, I just think The Witcher 3 does a much better job at that. So it's a negative, but it's also a positive, I guess. So that is really my only complaint. And the final thing, of course, is the combat, okay? I would even say that the Elder Scrolls Skyrim still has slightly better combat, not so much the melee combat, but the magic system, using a bow and arrow, stuff like that. It's just far better and more fun compared to the Witcher 3 combat. I don't know where people are getting this idea that it's similar to Dark Souls. It's nowhere near similar to Dark Souls. It's very clunky. It doesn't feel like any of your hits have impact. The magic system is good, but it needs to be way more fleshed out. I wish they did an overhaul, like a 2.0 update for The Witcher as well, because the combat really needs work, and that's really the only negative. But it does get better the more you put into it. But where The Witcher 3 really comes into its own is the exploration, is interacting with the characters, finding new interesting areas. The loot as well is not the most exciting thing. It can be exciting if you're playing in a smart way and you're unlocking the materials to craft higher gear like armors and weapons to then, fight more dangerous foes. So it can be, especially if you're playing on a high difficulty or modded Witcher 3 game, but the combat just isn't as satisfying. It looks flashy, but the way Geralt moves is just so janky, and they did update that with the next gen edition. Like, the way you control Geralt now feels a little bit better, but he still moves like a goddamn, tank. I don't know what's wrong with him, but a first person mode would also make this game far better, even if it's just for like exploration, not so much combat. And yeah, I'm not a fan of the movement system here, especially when you're controlling your goddamn roach, okay? I wish I could take that horse and just drown it in a bucket of milk. And the only other big complaint, the biggest complaint I have, which really holds this game back, is the fact that the leveling system is shit, okay? It's so bad. It's so goddamn bad. Why do developers think it's a good idea to level gate quests, to level gate areas? It's so fucking stupid, okay? It's so stupid. It's the most immersive breaking bullshit I've ever seen in any video game. That to me is what holds this back from being a masterpiece. I can overlook some of the combat, but I cannot overlook the leveling system. It's just so stupid, okay? Just doesn't make any sense when you're literally slaughtering a whole village of these goddamn slimy fuckers, okay? And then you go to one area and one can just one-shot you, a tiny little creature, okay? It's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. I don't want a power fantasy. I want a challenge, but level gating is just stupid, especially in a game where it's all about exploration. But I think they did this because originally the game wasn't built that way. You were kind of just following, your quest list, kind of like you do in Starfield to a degree, without all of the menus and loading screens in the way, thank God. But still, you're kind of going from one objective to the next, especially, focusing on the mini-map and all that kind of stuff. It was very much built in a Ubisoft-y style way, following this kind of open-world checklist approach. But the next-gen edition did a far better job of implementing organic exploration and discovery into the game world. So when you stumble upon a quest or you're in an area that you're not supposed to be, you don't really realize that because you're so immersed, but then you find that the quest is actually level gated, so you can't actually complete it the way you want it to. That to me is the most frustrating thing about The Witcher 3. But apart from that, the game is just a masterpiece. The writing, the story, the characters. It wasn't just borrowing RPG mechanics and just implementing small percentage changes. No, you actually had choices and consequences. And just the realized world that you live in as Geralt is just so well done. They just needed to tweak a couple of things. The expansions are, of course, great as well. It is a little bit of a grind at times, I do have to say. But it's just a refreshing take on, fantasy but realism. If you don't want to go full Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is another good RPG, but it's just, a very realistic game because it's set in real times pretty much, then this is the perfect balance. It's not as mystical and as fantastical as the Elder Scrolls, but it does a good job of balancing both of them. And this is pretty much the only and last good Witcher thing we will get, because the Witcher series has been kind of ruined, a lot of people would say, and this is literally the best fantasy RPG that we will have for a long time. I honestly do believe that you should play The Witcher 3 in 2024, especially if you've never played it before. You now have the perfect opportunity because the graphics are absolutely incredible, the texture detail, the NPC detail, the way they react to you as well. Again, this is how a game should be, and there's a reason why this game was held in such high regard, but now it's better than ever, especially with modding. So 2024 is the time to play The Witcher. The higher NPC count as well, and the way they interact with one another, and you can hear different conversations and stuff like that. They feel like actual living people instead of just random generic dead face Starfield NPCs. It's just, this is how a game should be made. I'm not saying that there isn't improvements to be made and there could be more realistic detail and stuff like that. Of course there is. I just said the kind of negatives, but pretty much it's all positives. And the special moments where you do find a quest that does have morality implications, like dealing with, like a werewolf and their lover, stuff like that, that's where you can really get meaning from Geralt, because you can really get into that immersive sense of blending your own choices and personality with Geralt, and that's when it comes meaningful and immersive, and some of the stories actually leave impact. And it also does deal with racism very tactfully, which I'm very glad about. Now if this game was made, it probably would shy away from that aspect because they don't want to get cancelled, but they don't shy away from that, and it just makes the world far more believable, and I wish more fantasy RPGs did that. But yeah, that's really a product of its time. The Witcher 3 in 2024 is worth playing, and you should play it if you haven't. I do hope you enjoyed this Witcher 3 2024 review, and if you did, like I said, do subscribe, share the video around. I really hope that this gets more people to play the game, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.